John, so that's what a first-place team looks like.
Yeah.
Dodgers winning 3 of 4 against the Padres at Petco Park. Dodgers continuing to use their big bats, big innings, and just blasting the brown and gold. The Dodgers leaving Petco Park at the end of this Monday game, having won 8 of 10 against San Diego this season, having won 15 of the 18 series they played against the Padres dating back to 2020, with a record of 40-18 against the Friars in games dating back to 2020. They're beating their brains out on the field, and you raise the intriguing point, are the Dodgers inside the Padres' head? What an awful great sports weekend this turned out to be. And the other thing, there was a lot of blue at Petco Park, and Mookie Betts, when they hit that grand slam home run that triggered that 8-run rally, just like when they had the 5-run rally on Friday night. Sounded like a Dodger home game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's just like so many Dodger fans. I think the Padre fans sold their season tickets off, so whenever the Padres lose, there's a huge cheer. It's crazy.
So, I mean, the Dodgers dominate, and the Dodgers are doing it the way the Dodgers have done it. They're running away from everybody in the National League West. And if that wasn't bad enough, now the president of the Padres, Eric Grupner, sends out this letter to season ticket holders on Sunday, informing them, informing you, informing us. Ticket prices are going up for a third straight year. They raised them 18%, then they raised them 20%. And the term was used in this letter this weekend was a moderate price hike. So 10 to 15% more, that's 3 straight years. And they're trying to rationalize the way they're doing their business because they're spending all this money to sign all these players and have this payroll, but they're billing the fans at the same time. Credit card bill always comes due, coming to the Padre fans as much as it is to Peter Seidler's bank account. Reaction?
How many sellouts have there been? I mean, the demand is insatiable.
It's been phenomenal. Now, if this thing does not get to postseason, if there's no playoff game in October, do you think everybody's going to be enthused about buying back in next year like they bought in this past year?
Yeah, I think we're going to find that out.
So it's a big, big issue. That's what a first-place team looks like. Padres have not gotten there and sure don't look like they're getting there. Now, we got a ton of topics on the table as it relates to the Padres. John, let's start with Joe Musgrove. This is really concerning. I mean, he has been a workhorse of this rotation since the minute he got here from the Pirates. And I always maintain your pitchers are never the same from one year to the next just because the wear and tear factor. And shoulder capsule injuries are significant. And I mean, he's in shutdown mode for 3 full weeks with inflammation in the shoulder capsule. It's a compilation of all the starts, and he takes the ball every 5th day. All the innings he piles up, and he's a max effort guy. These things happen. The problem is it's happened at the wrong time of the calendar because 3 weeks pushes us to September, and 3 weeks is not him throwing to get ready. 3 weeks shutdown mode. If they give him a cortisone injection, obviously he will stop throwing completely, and then there'll need to be another 2 weeks ramp up. So he might not be back till mid-September if there's no setback, and who knows where the Padres are going to be in the race at that point. So Musgrove shut down with inflammation, shoulder capsule. We say goodbye to a really good guy, Craig Stammen. What a workhorse he was, regardless of whatever the role was with the Padres. Prior to that, Washington Nationals. He had a really good run, a decade plus out of the bullpen. Came up with the old Washington Nationals. He was one of the last of the original national pitchers that got to D.C. when the Montreal Expos became the Washington Nats. Retires with a 56-44 record, 3.66 ERA for a guy who took the ball every time the phone rang in the bullpen and wanted to pitch. Really nice gentleman. Tough finish to Cole Hamels. But you talk about warrior, what a great pitcher he was. Phillies, Texas, Cubs. So he goes through this long, lonely road. You think walking down your driveway is hard? He did that rehab every day, long, lonely road. Major surgery shoulder, 1.5 years ago, setback a year ago as he sat out the season, goes through another 9 months of rehab, and the pain returns in the shoulder again. So he retires. He never, ever got to El Paso to pitch in the Pacific Coast League game, which was supposed to be the jumping off point. And this is after he'd come through the spring and was okay with no setbacks, and obviously another setback. Cole Hamels retires, a career record of 163 and 122, 3.44 ERA, 17-year career. That was a hell of a career. Padres, Fernando Tatis, not the same player right now. I don't think he's hurt, but I do think he's worn out. He had this stretch of 13 games in a row. He was hitting 109. El Nino, 109. Still making plays, playing hard in right field, still making throws, but obviously swinging at all kinds of stuff, chunk of it out of the strike zone, etc. He just looks really, really fatigued. To quote Kevin Costner in the movie Bull Durham, what we need is a rain out.
Yeah.
They really, I don't know how they rest and sit Tatis, but he needs to have a couple days off. Big setback as the Padres played the roster thing around the trade deadline. He had to move guys off the 40-man roster to make way for Rich Hill and He-Man Choi and the guys that came in the transactions. They gambled. They tried to take Brent Honeywell, who they kind of really refined and held back from all the elbow problems he had and shoulder problems in Tampa Bay. And they tried to sneak him through waivers when they designated him for reassignment so they could send him back to El Paso and at least retain the rights. And if they needed him in September, if there were injuries, they could call him up and then try to get him back on the 40-man roster. They lost him. I thought somebody would take a flyer on him. He's gone to the White Sox. So a lot of negative news about the Padres as they lost to, that's what a first-place team looks like. Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw, 2 strong bullpens, will be given the ball back into the rotation, might be on a pitch count or an innings count, back in the Dodger rotation Thursday against Colorado. And this story is really a bit of a surprise. Walker Buehler, who has come back now from his second elbow surgery in his career, a month and a half ahead of schedule. All the throwing regimens. He didn't have his velocity when he first started. He's gotten better and stronger as he's gone. He's going to start rehab middle of this week, I think maybe in Oklahoma City. Now, they'll handle that with kid gloves. He'll throw maybe an inning or 2 first rehab start. If there's no setback, the second rehab start at AAA might be 2 to 4 innings, and then they'll make the judgment. Looks like he's going to be back to pitch in the month of September, which means he's going to be back, and if there's no problems, when the playoffs start in October. And those are the first-place Dodgers welcoming back now Kershaw and hopefully believing, because they have handled Buehler with kid gloves through this entire rehab process. And the Dodgers are pretty good about doing rehabs from surgeries. Dodgers all of a sudden might get this pitching staff straightened out when we go to the most important time of the year, when the first-place Dodgers go to postseason play. Okay, so I sprayed a lot of hits in your direction. Go ahead, pick a topic, talk about Padre or Dodger baseball.
Well, I first of all, I feel bad for Honeywell. I was like really rooting for that kid because he had gone through so much adversity, and he throws a screwball, and he was such a competitor up there.
He throws heat.
Yeah, he's a talent. He just needed some more work. But geez,